So this blog post is going to look at a goal that I set myself on one of my previous blogs, which was on the 1st of the 10th, 2014, advantages of planning a session. And one of the goals that I set myself was to actually plan a session and physically write it down, say what I needed to do, what I needed to improve, etc., etc. So the good thing about planning a session is I can set myself a structure, so I know what I need to do at certain times. Basically set myself a short-term goal which I'd hope they'd pick up quite soon, and then a long-term goal which potentially they could progress to at the end of the session. So how I actually introduced it was I basically created a fun game which I use quite regularly when we begin, and it gets them in the mindset and gets them, in the mood to play. And what it is putting a bucket 10 to 15 yards away and making them chip it in. It sort of looks at street golf really. You can hit it off anything to get it in the bucket, but it's quite a fun activity and it gets them engaged. So the only disadvantage of doing that is that it's quite one-to-one, so a couple of people can be stood about, which obviously is not great. And it's something that I need to look at quite heavily really. With golf being quite a closed skill, it is tough to get everyone involved at the same time. A way of counteracting that is literally, making the kids give each other tips, and then me just stepping in and saying, well, this is what we need to do. So then after that we progressed the session, and what we did, we moved it outside. So moving it outside, you give them a different environment, a different challenge, and something which they can all take part in at the same time. As I gave them all, an amount of golf balls, and we sort of had set flags out, so they had to chip it to certain flags, and then I could sort of go one by one and look at everyone's technique, individually really, and it is something which the kids picked up on and said that it was better. So that could be something to take note of and think, well, if it is adequate weather, let's go outside and let's try and develop them as a whole instead of just one by one. I'd say the only disadvantage of going outside is really if you're looking at one person, someone 6 kids up the line could be messing about and trying to hit it 200 yards instead of focusing on the aim of literally chipping. But that is something that I need to work on during my blog post really. So hopefully there'll be a couple of blog posts about that soon. But as well, then we changed it into a team activity. So looking at the targets which we'd just gone for, the flags that we'd just gone for, we sort of set them up into a team. So obviously the Ryder Cup's just been on at the moment, so we sort of tried to instill like a Ryder Cup legacy and set them up into USA and Europe, and then the winners obviously got a little prize, so obviously a bit of extrinsic rewards, so it did keep them engaged in the session. As well, just to go with that, it really promotes teamship, which, reflecting back on my performance as a coach, I feel like that was something which is really good. As this week, what we've just done in lesson is the holistic approach. So obviously teamship looks more at the social element of any sport really. So I felt like it was a massive advantage getting them into teams, because a lot of people do take part in sport because of the social aspect of it. So I feel like we looked more at etiquette, losing fairly really, and obviously not being a sore loser. So I feel like that was a good thing to instill. So I'm gonna really try and get them involved more in team situations whenever I can really, because they all seem to enjoy it and try to help each other out, which was really good. I feel like I split the teams up well as well, because there's a couple of kids which are obviously at different levels of development really, and what I did, I sort of split the best people up and fluctuated the kids that needed a bit more attention of really. So it sort of gave each one of them the idea that it's not necessarily to win, but it's more to promote working together and working as a team. So I felt that was really good. And then finally, what we did, we just tried to make it harder by taking them out of groups, and then essentially just giving them 5 to 10 shots, and then seeing how many they could get out of them to the target. And after we did that once, we sort of changed it, so we made the targets a little bit further away, so it was more pitching and chipping then, which is something which we're going to be looking at this week. So I felt it was good because it gave them a taste of what we're going to do next week, which is a really good idea. However, I feel like we should have kept them in teams, really, or I should have kept them in teams, because at the end of the day they were really enjoying it, and a couple of them were like, well, we did enjoy the team stuff, so why are we not doing that now? So that is definitely something which I could look at, trying to improve. But overall, as a session, it was really good, and I'm definitely going to be sticking to looking at session plans and putting down what went well, what didn't. So hopefully there'll be quite a few of them which I can blog about and discuss. But overall, it was a good session. And yeah, I'm happy that I've been planning sessions. So yeah, thanks for listening. Cheers.